Hello and welcome to the first ever Written Sins Hour. This is a conceptual show, so consider this a pilot. Basically, we're just going to go through all the things on our site and call off things that we find interesting and look into them. So with that in mind, we're going to get started, and we're going to start just talking about topics that range in, I guess, what they are about, cosplaying, what our week in sin, our month in sin, stuff like that. So let's just get into it and look at what's on our page and start there. Congratulations to the following Kickstarters: Mitch's Birds on Earth, Robin Hood, Eon's Edge, Float have all successfully funded on Kickstarter. So that's awesome. But there are some other ones that need to still have some love. So let's take a few minutes and talk about them on this show. We're going to go to our cheat sheet on the site, and we're going to go through the list. We have Tommy, which is about an imaginary friend, was a serial killer. It's a very interesting concept. Basically, a kid gets a rabbit, and the rabbit starts telling him to do things and starts doing things, but no one knows if hey, Melissa's just joining us. Hi, Melissa. No one knows if the rabbit is real or not in the first couple issues. I won't ruin much for you, but it's a very interesting concept. Of course, the R4 patch. The R4 patch is for the Autistic Jedi. This patch shows that you support not only research into autism, but also awareness, because I think awareness is just as important as actually the research goes, because I think we need to understand it better. Every dollar counts is our campaign about supporting indie comics $1 at a time, meaning that even if you don't necessarily like a project enough to support it to the level of buying a comic book or even getting a PDF, just one simple dollar can make a huge difference in that campaign. And it really does, because we'll go over like some of the things in most of these videos where we'll show how many backers there are, and that backer count winds up counting in a very deep way when it comes to trying to not only find other people to back your project, but also it comes to being a marketable thing. I'm just telling everyone to join us. If you're on Facebook and you haven't seen this yet, join us now to have the conversation, because we're opening up the chat rooms and all that. Ask questions and whatever have you. But the dollar program itself is all about helping someone in a very easy and cheap fashion, because everyone can afford to spend $1 on one Kickstarter. If you spend $1 a week on Kickstarter on a project, you're going to make dreams come true, and you're going to be a superstar. Float, which I'm not sure why it's still loaded. I guess it's taking a minute to update. It shouldn't have, but this shouldn't be on the countdown anymore. So that's just probably an error on the loading or a catch thing. Let's see if I can't update it and see if that gets rid of it. Sometimes you get things caught in your browser history, and I look at that. Okay, it's reloading. Let's see if it got rid of it. No, I'll have to go back and look at the list to make sure we take this out, because this is successfully funded. That's successfully funded. So we have to take two things. Ninja Boy successfully funded. Also, congratulations to the team behind Ninja Boy. Mitch Birds on Earth, which I thought had a great tagline, being a B movie with $1 billion budget. Awesome tagline, successfully funded. Pigtails is not funded yet, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. This has funded. Doesn't mean we won't take a quick look at it. It could always use some extra support. We're going to really dive into this one and talk about this a bit. And we're going to go ahead and talk about these Maccabee, right? Wow, I'm struggling with that. Tales of Terror. And we're going to talk a bit about the Untold on the program. And we'll go ahead and talk about the Imaginary Bunny. And we'll talk some about the Threat. We're going to talk about Angelica Reigns. And that'll take care of the Kickstarters. So let's get into that. Pigtails. So now, I don't really know much about Pigtails. I know it's got 20 hours to go, and I know it looks like a long shot. But I've also known Kickstarters that can easily raise $2,000 in the last day. So we're just going to take a quick minute. I'm going to read to you this little blurb in here, and you're going to determine whether or not that's worth backing. Here we go. I wrote a 3-issue series based on the idea my wife had, and this Kickstarter is to help get that first issue printed and provide some compensation to the amazing artist Ming Wang. Besides the interior art, he also did 2 black and white covers. Ming's ability to convey deep emotion with simple techniques convinced me he has the perfect illustration for the Sun's journey without needing color. I've also teamed up with wonderful artist Janet Lee to provide a fun variant cover. I followed her work for a number of years, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to get a quick drink. My throat's dry. For a number of years, so she could deliver a variant to fit the theme and the atmosphere of Pigtails. So Pigtails, the tagline is when Sun Jin's parents are murdered, also her martial arts training and her beauty find out who's behind their deaths. So why don't we take a quick look at the video on the program?
Sujin is leaving her home and parents in South Korea to begin a new career and a new life in Chicago. But soon after her arrival, she learns her parents have been murdered. So she uses her martial arts training to hunt down anyone involved. It doesn't take long for her to discover her parents were involved in something that could get Sujin killed. Pigtails is a 3-issue series done all in black and white. This Kickstarter is for issue 1 and will have a variant cover by Janet Lee. If you like action stories with themes of love, loss, and redemption, then Pigtails is perfect for you.
All right, so there's an interesting take on comic book telling using black and white. It's interesting that it's a choice for some creators. That's not necessarily a choice, but a means to cut down the cost of the project. Let's just look at the art real quick and some of the goals. The art looks great. Here's the creative team behind it. We have Gregory M. Thompson. We have Ming Wang. We have Janet Lee, who did the alternative cover. There is a T-shirt option. I don't know a lot about this necessarily, this thing. We have someone joining us. Who's joining us today? Oh, Comics Unknown is joining us. What's going on, George?
What's up, Rob?
What's going on? What brings you on the show today?
I actually saw the post right now. I was just finishing up a review.
What are you reviewing?
And I went onto Facebook to post a little bit on social media.
What are you reviewing today?
I just finished an indie comic, a web comic called Kitaru Witch Hunter. It's, if you want to give me 1 second. See how, first I'm getting on Google Hangouts, so let me try to figure this out.
Yeah, Google Hangouts can be a little overwhelming at first, but they're pretty easy once you get used to it. But we were actually just talking about, do you know anything about the Pigtails Kickstarter?
Not that one. Let's see here. No, I haven't checked out Pigtails yet.
It looks like
you keep on. Don't let me stop you.
Well, those who don't know, George runs Comics Unknown, right? ComicsUnknown.com? No doubt.
It's comicunknown.blogspot.com, but I post, you can find it on Facebook at Comic Unknown. Easiest way to pop up because that's where I post mostly everything there.
Yeah, and we also cover it on Written Sins, and he's got his own tab in Written Sins, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go to the site and we'll actually check it out. I believe you have your own tab, and if you don't, I actually have to fix that. But I believe you're.
Oh yeah, I have a tab there. I need to post up a few things there too. It'll be on the reviews.
Yeah, there it is. See, Comics Unknown. That's how you get to him. And we're going to take a quick look at the site. See, this is all the stuff, and you have all these things. We'll do Spellman, who is, you're the GOAT, very active guy. I think
Yeah.
is You're the Goat back on Kickstarter soon?
Yeah, I'm definitely backing up his newest issue. His thing went up, I think, 2 days ago.
He never reached out to me. I'll have to reach out to him at the end of this and see what he's up to, because I didn't even know that he did it. So yeah, this is his site. For some reason, I'm not getting the link on that like it's supposed to be. I'm gonna have to look why that didn't link. But he's done just amazing amount of reviews. And those who have been on social media know that one of the things I'm trying to get done is other people to do a lot of reviews for the site, because, and here's his site, because reviews take a lot of time. For those who don't know, it takes a lot of time and energy. And George is very fair with his reviews. I've never actually seen you do a negative review. Is that on purpose, George?
We always try to go for constructive, not destructive reviews. There are some reviews out there that we do talk about what can be improved and things like that. And those creators that when we talk about it, they agree, they're happy with what we talk about. They never have any real issues when we ask questions. So that's basically, we try our best when it comes to the reviews.
And I think he does a wonderful job. And honestly, I think it takes a lot not to do a negative review, because I know sometimes people are more into negative reviews than they are positive reviews, and that sucks. So I give you credit for that.
Thank you.
You want to hang out while we talk about some more Kickstarters?
Go for it.
All right, cool. Ingenuous, I think I'm pronouncing that right. This is from Kelly Bender. Have you seen anything from Kelly Bender, George?
Yeah. I've reviewed some of his work. If you give me 1 second. I believe one of the things that you had opened up a few seconds ago was actually Kelly Bender. Let me just double check real quick.
Let's go back and find that. It should be in reviews. We'll go back. Comic book. Oh, damn it. I went to the comic book reviews. That'll be harder to find. Let's go into your partition right there. And we'll find Kelly Bender. Okay, what do we got here?
Scroll down real quick. Right there, the Triple Barrel review is actually one of Kelly Bender's.
All right, so check this out. So that creator that we're talking about right now was part of this one, which I actually backed this one. That's right, Bender was part of this one. This is about Death Rattle, and I remember reading the review, and it sounded like you really liked this one.
Yeah, I got to read the first 3 issues. I think I can't remember if there's going to be a fourth or not. We just fell in love with it because I do have a second reviewer. His name is Richard. We tried to do. We both read this one. We actually picked a fight trying to figure out who's going to spit out the review on this one, and we just fell in love with it. It was great. We love the art. We love the story.
Now it's interesting. He's back with his giant creative team.
Yeah.
Of an Angel Linden. I've seen him around, like the colorist. He's getting around a lot. I've definitely seen his name come up a lot, and he's got Adam Ferris, who's been. I've seen his line art and other things. You got Brenton Mathen, who I don't know if you've heard of him. I haven't, but he's a tattoo artist, and I love tattoo artists. So I mean, you could see he brought together a giant team to do this horror take on. It looks like I guess a horror film gone to a comic book, because he actually calls it Stranger Things Meets The Fog, and it's a movie in comic form. And I don't know about you, but I thought The Fog was like absolutely scary and stunning in itself. Did you get to see The Fog?
The Indigenous, when I saw it, it just by seeing it with the art that right there at the cover where the water just pulls her in, and I'm not sure if it's like destroying her body little by little, but when I started reading through it, I was just like, wow.
I mean, if you look at this right here, the guy getting taken by that same thing, it definitely looks like it's chewing him up. So bad things are about to happen to her. And I mean, the rewards catalog on this is kind of cool, because he's ordering, look at all these digital comics you can get with this.
Oh, I actually did a review on Snarl as well. I haven't posted it up on many social media links yet, but I do have it somewhere. See if I can find it.
I mean, Kelly definitely is creating some great stories. So that in itself is a giant reason to back this campaign. And like I said, this one's actually already been funded. So at this point, it's all gravy, as they say. So just you can add on and be part of this. Let's see. We got some comments. I just wanted you said something. You're trying to join, so you're here. George, go down the news feed, and there will be a link to join. Oh, Melissa was trying
For
to.
some reason, it wasn't opening up. I had to open it up on Chrome for it to start working.
Oh, you noticed that? Yeah. For anyone who wants to join this program, I should say this: using it on the Safari or using it on Firefox is a real pain in the ass. Google Chrome is the way to go. I tell all the guests that. Just download Google Chrome. It's the easiest way to go. And this Kickstarter is one to back, but I definitely want to. Have you heard of Children of Sing manga print run Kickstarter?
I actually just finished looking at it. I saw it in one of your posts, so I started investigating it, see what we can do. Maybe we run a review on it.
I mean, it looks fantastic. The artist in himself, the way he captures things, I think is fantastic. And I don't know that sometimes I see a Kickstarter, and having helped like over 100 Kickstarters, I can tell you that I don't really understand the rhythm of fans, and I don't understand why people back the things they do sometimes and don't back the things they don't back sometimes. I'm kind of lost with it. So George hasn't really, you just saw it today. What do you think of it? Let's get your perspective, because I've talked about this for a few weeks, and I don't understand why people aren't backing it. What do you see when you look at this Kickstarter?
If you want to give me 1 second, let me just open up Kickstarter real quick so then I can look at the page again.
Yeah, and while you do that, why don't we run the video and we'll let them explain what the story is.
Go for it.
We're going to go with this one. I don't think we've played this.
It is a time of darkness, where clockwork powers the world. Evil permeates society, causing great mayhem, and man's world is unquestioned. Cain, tortured by his past sins, seeks to earn redemption by saving mankind. But can he, whom the gods no longer praise, redeem himself?
We're not going to roll all the credits because I know those who are watching might not want to watch all the credits, but that's the first time I've seen that video. I mean, it looks like high quality. The art in it looks stunning. I don't get it. So, George, tell me about it. What do you think of it as someone just seeing it for the first time?
The story itself, I'm not too sure. Just by looking at the art and actually looking through the Kickstarter itself, there's this one image where it says "We killed the dead," with I can only assume some form of undead in the background. I love the art. It has this dark looking art. It kind of character behind it kind of reminds me of like a mixture of like I want to say a mixture of Freddy with Jeepers Creepers type vibe. That's the way I'm seeing it. I don't know if you see the image. Yeah, that image right there. So I can only, if the art's like that, it looks like it's gonna be awesome throughout the whole comic. So one can only hope.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't really get why. And like I said, sometimes I just don't understand it. And I've seen really good creators, guys who have nailed Kickstarters, like stumble upon it. What is your take? Because I know you're a reviewer, but I also know you're a fan. What is it that draws you to most Kickstarters? Is it you hearing about it on social media? Is it a friend? Like, what really inspires you to back a Kickstarter?
My most recent Kickstarters, when I started going through all the Kickstarters, believe it or not, half the time it might be somebody I know, but I'm searching it through Kickstarter and I don't even pay attention of who's the person that's creating it. I just look at it, I look at the art, I read about what the story's about, I check out the rewards, and then usually that's when I decide whether or not I back it. I actually had it was actually a coincidence with, which one was it? Ghostly Tides, The Curse of the Witch Island.
Oh yeah,
I go and I back it, and then I look back and I was like, wait a minute, this is by Kim Roberts.
yeah, right. Like,
Oh, shoot, look at that. I back one of her things, which I've actually reviewed some of her work without even noticing it was her at that moment. And I was just like, cool. I look more towards the art and the story before I even consider it, because I don't know the best way to say, like, judge by a name of a creator. I first look at it and then I check who it is that's creating it. My most recent backs right now is actually Indigenous, which we just finished talking about. I'm actually backing that one. Galaxa Freaks, Tomb of Horror, and Year of the Goat #8.
speaking of Tomb of Horror, that's actually on our list today, and Kim Roberts is actually on that one too.
Mm-hmm.
She passed that to me. We'll get to that in a minute, because I definitely want to talk about it. But like you said, to me, it's all about the art, and I think it's all also about the energy that goes into promoting it. And the one thing I always say, and I think that you'll agree with this, is as much as Written Sins is there to help people, and we do all these videos, sometimes it takes people actually being the vocal point of it, like getting in front of it and definitely being the voice of it. Because sometimes I can't always be the advocate, and I think you'll agree that when you see a creator getting excited about something, that makes you more excited about it. Wouldn't you agree?
Correct. One creator I think that will fit perfectly with this would probably be Caleb Fassat, the creator of Alterlife. I always see him posting whenever he has an update. He does Alterlife and he also does Zed. I always see him posting. I always see him trying to give out, let people know on social media, look, check it out, things like that. It's creators like that they, like, you see them try hard to promote their work, which is great. I believe it's great because as much as there's websites like Written Sins or Comic Unknown that talks about the new comics that are coming out, we still need those creators to still put their leg in to make sure that they do their part to try to promote as much as they can. Same thing with Evolution with like Delilah Blast, and they have a new Kickstarter coming out right now. Shoot, I forgot the name right now.
They have Night 2 coming out, and
Angelica Reigns, yeah.
Which is actually going to be on the program today. Angelica Reigns looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, absolutely stunning stuff. And like you said, I think that the creators being behind it. And speaking of creators, Brian, I'd like to talk about the passion. And this is one of the things that throws me about this particular Kickstarter, is that Brian actually put out a pretty good message. We're just going to take a minute and listen to that. And you'll see why I get confused by people not backing this one.
Aloha, guys. It's me, Brian Ravel, executive publisher at Enjoy Comics. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about another project we got going. We have previously solicited this, and we've gone a little bit farther, and we didn't get enough funding the first time to do a large print run or even a decent-sized print run. But the book's almost completed, and so we're going to look to see if we can help us out a little bit more so we can do a good-sized print run, or even any print run, really. And what we're going to do is, I know a lot of you have probably already contributed to this when it was a few months back, and I understand that and I appreciate that. I'm going to throw in a lot of bonus content, even some of our other titles that have finished up recently, so it kind of entice people to either recontribute or contribute for the first time and get a lot of bonus stuff. We ran into a problem with the printer locally. Their direct-to-garment machine went down, so we had to solicit printer outside of the island. It's not local, unfortunately. So our shipping cost is going to go up, but the shirt production cost is lower. So we'll still be getting those shirts for the people who have already donated in those tiers, and we'll be throwing them in this new one. as well as tons of other stuff. I can't go into all the details. You have to actually watch the updates on our Kickstarter. So what I want you to do is share if you can't contribute as often as you can. And if you can't contribute or you have contributors, consider, bumping it up a little, because I want to be able to give away a lot of this content that were already produced. The new book, Children of Sin, written by Stephen Halberg, illustrated by Alan Ventura, and I do some additional art, pinups and covers, etc. on it. This book is over 100 pages of just like epic manga style art and story. It's really well done. I know you guys are gonna like it a lot. I don't want to give too much away, but there are some, I'll give you a little bit about it if you don't already know. It's on the 7 deadly sins take corporeal form in steampunk London. And the world is vast. The world that the artists created and the writers, it's really epic. I gotta say, it's really fun to read, and it's almost done with nearly completed and going to print soon. But we ran out of funds as we were funding the art and the t-shirts and all that. We realized we didn't have enough to cover a print run. So, but we are going to be giving away lots of extras. So please tune in, please support, and we really appreciate it. And I look forward to giving you updates. And please interact with us, or on our Kickstarter page. Even if you don't fund it, feel free to share it, interact, comment, whatever you want.
Now, I mean, when you have a creator being that passionate about it, that makes me instantly want to back it. And the art in it is there, and it's really one of those things that, I mean, once they talked about the 7 deadly sins, obviously because I run Written Sins, I was hooked. I didn't need to know anything else because I love seeing how people take on that. Do you think that sometimes talking about sin, because I know we've ran into a problem where some people have actually had a problem with us talking about sin and talking about that, they've like from a religious aspect are kind of thrown off. Do you think that sometimes hurts campaigns like this?
I think it all depends on the audience that you'll be aiming for. Obviously, you're not going to be trying to get every single type of people into a specific Kickstarter. I think the best way for you to just go with it, just to make sure who you're aiming for, who your audience is, and just continue from there. There are going to be moments that people are not going to like your Kickstarter or your book, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen to any type of book. It's going to happen regardless whether or not it's one that has the word sin. Maybe it's they won't like it just because I don't know, it's a black and white instead of a color, or vice versa. Or maybe they think that it's maybe it's an idea that might be stretched too long, that instead of it being 50 pages, they thought it would have been better as a 20 something. But it really just matters on your audience, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree more. I do think you need to have an idea of who your audience is. And with, I think, like from personal experience, we did Fetish Babies, which it ran into some stuff throughout the whole campaign, and we were very open about it. I mean, there were times where we would ask to do a Facebook ad, because not only did I want to do a Facebook ad, but I wanted to do it for the actual testing of it to tell people if it worked or not. And literally, if I tried to run the ad at, like, let's say right now, this time of the day, it would get denied. And then that same ad, if I tried to run it at night, would be approved. So, I mean, you have to understand there's going to be a different reaction depending on who's viewing it, at what time of the day, and who you're doing. So I think that you also would want to run this. I think this would run better in the evening. What do you think? Like running it when people are going to try to see movies and such like that. I definitely think that's the time for something like this, because it's very like graphic and horror related in the way that they're doing things. And I think that, and we had another one that was, it looked really graphic, like completely. I mean, there was a shot where a shotgun blew a face off, and we actually got a couple complaints because we ran the image and we were told they didn't like how graphic the image was. And sometimes I'm a little desensitized, but when you see something that's a little graphic like that, do you think that there should be sometimes, I guess, a warning attached to it? I mean, we've gotten to this culture where the term is trigger warnings. Do you think that's something that's important?
I think for myself, might be a little bit desensitized as well when it comes to comics or manga or anything like that. But I think that for the specific audience, there are times that you would have to, like, just to point out oh, expect this type of content inside this this book, things like that. Like I'm pretty sure you probably had to point out a few things when you came out with your book as well.
Oh yeah, but we were very careful with that. But with the horror, with everything that's shown, I guess I'm a little more desensitized. I guess from what you see on television nowadays, I expected people to be okay with stuff like that, you know?
I agree.
Because I mean, like, and we and you have talked about this, where because I actually met you in person, and I was very happy to meet you for the first time. And because a lot of times we know each other just online, but we met up at MegaCon, and we had fun talking. And one of the things I remember we talked about, I think we talked about this, how Viagra's on television all the time now. And it's ridiculous that we live in this culture where certain things are okay and certain things are still like not okay to talk about. And it's very hard.
Still exists.
Yeah, and it's very hard to exist in this space knowing like who you're going to offend what day of the week because they're offended that day. But the next day, if someone else shared it, they won't be offended. So it's sometimes hard to gauge even your audience because, I mean, you see, like right now after the whole Trump thing with the head coming off, which I think we can all agree went too far. I don't think anyone think that didn't go too far. But now today I saw something about they're going after Bill Maher for a comment that was once again off and shouldn't have been said. But it seems like it's now becoming open season on comedians. So there's always a pulse that you have to take when you're doing Kickstarters that I think is important. And I think that sometimes you have to pivot. I think the biggest mistake that I've seen, and maybe you'll agree with me on this, is the fact that when people are promoting Kickstarters, they try to promote the same thing over and over again. They never change the narrative of what they're doing, especially if it's not working.
Yeah. Sometimes what they have to do is like change the image, change the style. Depends on what type of story you're trying to tell. You could use the actual post of social media itself and blend it into what type of story it is. Like if it's a mystery, make it into like a mystery post saying, "Oh, and we're investigating this Kickstarter," things like that. Same thing when it's a horror or even a superhero one. I do see a lot of people when they post, they tend to repeat the same thing over and over again. But I do see other creators that every time they post out a social media about their book, they change their content around, just try to attract people in different ways. So I think that would probably be a very good way to do it.
For I know us, for our Kickstarter, we constantly changed, and because it was also, you wanted to talk about topics and you don't want to ruin anything for the book. There are definitely things you want to leave in your book. You want to have people get to the Kickstarter and be excited about it. But there are ways to tell even the narrative differently. Like once you've told one reason, tell the other reason. Because as a creator, and you're a creator yourself, and you have your first project coming out soon. I know you told me you were working on it. As a creator, you constantly want to explain the story, and there's many different ways to explain it, including character development. I was talking to another creator, and they were asking me, well, what do you think would make my Kickstarter more powerful? Like, what would you think get more attention? I was like, honestly, focus on your characters, because in the end of the day, they're investing on just not you as the creator, but the characters themselves. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think like you were stating and I was stating, I think like actually going back to what I said earlier, how there's certain creators out there that they dive themselves in and they try their best and they put everything out there, especially with the way of how they post things. Depending on the style or depending on what genre you're going for, depends on what outcome you could receive. Sorry, that sounded weird, but for example, like going back to this one right here, the one that we have open right now, Children of Sin. The art looks great to me. It looks like it could be a hell of a horror comic. There's, what is it, 18 backers right now. It depends on how he posts as well. We would have to see how he posts on social media, things like that. See how, because to me, I'm looking at that right now and I'm seeing the amount that we're at, that they're at with only 3 days left. The best way to do is to try to look at it, try to figure out what's working and what's not working.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the funny thing is I've talked about this on every show we've ran to this point about this, and I've told people how excited I am to be part of this, and it really does confuse the hell out of me that people aren't more behind this. Like, it really is very confusing to me. I just don't get it. And sometimes I don't, and that's just me. But the art alone, like, I look at these things as when you get a comic book, like, even if the story sucks, and it doesn't happen very often on Kickstarter, and I'm not trying to say that anyone's story sucks, but sometimes you get a bad story. But if the art is there, it's still enjoyable. Wouldn't you agree?
Correct. Even with a bad story, if the art is there, it could completely change the style of what you're looking at, and it could make it that much better.
Yeah, and as a writer myself, I've written scripts, and the first thing that when I first start creating with an artist is they'll be like, "Wow, you're writing so many words. Like, you're gonna put all that dialogue in there? Are you gonna do everything that you have to do with this?" And it's a big confusing thing about how much we're actually putting into words. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's overwhelming to people. And I'm like, don't worry. When you make your art, we're going to take out a lot of the dialogue. We're going to take out a lot of the scene structure, because I give this to you as the artist, a story that no one else is going to get. You know what I mean? They get to read a story that no one does. So a lot of times when you're seeing this fantastic art, understand you're also seeing something the writer has written for you. And the artist, when they're really good, bring it to life so well that as a writer, you can take a step back and be like, hey, I can cut off half the dialogue because you said it in that gesture. And I think with projects like this, you do see that. I mean, the art in this is stunning. I mean, we're going to just take a quick look at these cards here. And I mean, just look at the art on these cards that are going to be coming out. Oops, that's a little too much. The art in it itself, I think, is stunning. You know, the way the eyes are, the coloring. I love the Reaper that they have. I love the fact that they integrated steampunk. And I know steampunk is still a big thing just 10 years later. I mean, steampunk came out of nowhere, and it's become this big thing for everywhere, especially if you're going to Comic-Cons. You were just at MegaCon. You saw a lot of steampunk, right, George?
A lot of cosplay in regards to that. There was those, like, I want to say at least even 5 or 6 different booths selling things related to steampunk. That's not going to die anytime soon.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're watching this video, and we're going to go to comments because I know there have been a couple comments. If you're watching this video now or you're watching it later, please do tell me what you think of this, because I'm very, very interested to know what people are actually thinking about this Kickstarter. If there's a way that something maybe you need to know to be a backer, or something that's being missed, because I know I've put it out there. I've definitely tried to help with this one, and I've kind of been lost to why people aren't more excited about this. But speaking of comments, I'm just going to look at it real quick on the screens. I know for those who don't know, Catherine and Emerson, who actually gets confused to being me a lot of times because she uses the Written Sins logo, is actually my sister. I think you met my sister at MegaCon, didn't you? I know you met my wife, but did you meet my sister?
Your wife, I saw, and I met the creator of Stabbity Bunny.
Oh, Richard Rivera. He was great to hang out with. I hope to have a project coming out with him from the thing. I can't talk about it now, but it'll be fun if we do what we were talking about doing. I got to touch base with him later today about that. But my sister actually had made a good point. She said Kickstarters are hard to back when you don't know the creator, because a lot of Kickstarters seem to take forever to be delivered. And I know you back Kickstarters a lot. Do you find that it sometimes the amount of time it takes to deliver a Kickstarter will affect if you back the person next?
I've backed certain Kickstarters where you see the estimated time of arrival for an item. Sometimes it takes a good while. Sometimes it says that within 2 months. Whenever it's really close to time frame, let's say if it's successfully funded, and let's say today, and it says that it's going to be released in 2 to 3 months, I've had the luck and the opportunity to not have any issues with that. I do have about 2 Kickstarters that I have funded. I would have to double check that. The estimated time, one of them is like September, and the other one is around early November. I would have to double check which one it is, though. Those tend to be a little, tend to drag a bit, but as long as the creator, which I haven't had any issues yet, constantly updates, shows what they're doing, things like that. Even before you get a physical, if you're doing a physical back, sometimes they'll send you the digital ahead of time, just, you know, to keep you there, to keep you in the loop, things like that. That's when I don't have any issues. But fortunately, to this day, I haven't had an issue where where they take too long to deliver, things like that.
I've been lucky in that regard too. I've seen a couple take a while, but to the credit of the creators, when it did take a while, it was them reaching out to me and letting me know, and they personally reached out to me, and I don't know if that had a lot to do with being in written SiNs or they just did it to do the right thing. I personally think that the creators did the right thing. So I don't know if that perception of Kickstarters not getting delivered is fair. I think that sometimes, yes, some creators do go long and they have delays, and I think that just goes to poor planning on their part. They don't see things coming. Perfect example is for my Kickstarter. We actually had a huge problem, and I think we were talking about this at one point, where my printer just completely, the person I was going to give the gig to, completely just disappeared on me and wouldn't answer emails or anything like that, and that was going to kill my time frame. We weren't going to make it, and our answer was to go to Amazon. We teamed up with Amazon, and we delivered all of our rewards via Vistaprint and Amazon to make sure we weren't late, because I don't know about anyone else, but I'm not in this to be in it for a day or two. I'm in it to have like a long-standing relationship with fans, and I think it's important to deliver on time. Because how can you have anyone backing you or having faith in you if you don't do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially like if it's issue 1. Let's say if that occurred with an issue 1, the returning or the returning people that would consider backing a following issue, if there's a stale taste in their mouths because of how long it took and like you passed the time frame that you were projecting, I think that would deter them from trying to back the following issue if you have an ongoing series.
Absolutely. And that's not to, and I just want to make sure that anyone who's tuning in next, I see people tuning in randomly. That has nothing to do with the creator we're talking about here, Brian. Brian seems like a very stand-up guy. I've spoken to him. I've followed him. He's done other Kickstarters that have actually funded and have, as far as I understand, delivered everything. So this is nothing to do with him in particular. Me and George are just talking. So we're going to go ahead and move on to Tomb of Horror. We had mentioned this before. You've dealt with Kim Roberts and her stuff. Why don't you tell us about some of the things that you've seen her do?
Oof, well, that's quite a list. One of my favorite things that she's done. Let me just run it real quick. It was called Scavenger. I don't know if you heard of it. She did it with Marcosia.
Yeah.
The publishing. Man, what a great book. It takes place basically in what was the name of the planet? I forgot the name of the planet right now, but it's basically a wasteland. But then all the rich people live in this off satellite, which some of them has abilities and things like that. I don't want to spoil too much into it if people want to check it out. But I've also worked on reviews for some other books that she used to work in. It's just specifically with her, I've done quite a few amount of things. It's just remember right now, the first one that popped into my head was Scavenger. I am going to be doing a review on Ghostly Tides and the other one that she did, which was Toothville. Hopefully I could have Toothville up and running by the end of next week. It's one of her most recent ones. It's a very similar art to Ghostly Tides. If you guys are interested in it, you could probably check out on their social media page. I think I had posted something on Facebook about Ghostly Tides back in the day. Let me see what else with her. Just she's been everywhere with me when it comes to posting up things. She communicates quickly. She always does her things. If she ever wants to review things like that, I have nothing bad to say about her. Just praises.
Hold on, let's I got a delivery outside. Sorry about that. No, but I completely agree with Kim Roberts. I mean, everything I read with her is fascinating. She's a great creator, and everything that she's part of, I'm happy to be part of. They're 44 backers with $771, and I love the fact that they do a very modest Kickstarter goal. I do think that for a lot of fans that might not understand how much it actually takes and how expensive it is to create a comic book, I think that they don't understand when they see a price tag that's sometimes like $5,000, $10,000, and they don't get that sometimes these comic books can cost that much, especially with distribution and all that. I know for me, we're bringing Jax the Anderson to Kickstarter at the end of the month, and we're only going to be asking for a shallow amount of money, like only 500, I think is the goal we're tentatively going for, because it's a passion project. But we'll have a lot of stretch goals that are meant to go way behind it. But you don't know. You don't know how someone's going to react to a Kickstarter. And I think sometimes it's smart to have a smaller goal to build a fan base. And I think Kim Roberts should put her name more on this, because everyone I talked about Kim Roberts really does appreciate what she does. And for this particular one, I believe I read the story for this one. And that story, if you haven't read it yet, I know you'll enjoy her story that she wrote in this if you're a fan of her. Like, just fantastic dealings with this creative avenue she took on this story. It really did make me stop and think. What about her writing style have you liked so far, actually? Because I know you're a fan of hers. Do you like the fact that she's very good with the twists? Because I think, for me, that's what I love about her, is the way she's able to put in hooks and twists, and the story isn't predictable.
Without a doubt, I think she could write a little bit of everything. Doesn't necessarily have to be horror. Just when going back to when I was talking about Scavenger, because Scavenger was also a great book to just check it out and just read it. And it's not really hard. It's more of a sci-fi type of thing. Her short stories are awesome. I love them. I've lost track of which one she's written, because she usually puts her books inside of those anthologies like Tomb of Horror and things like that. But every time I see, like, let's say I open up the first page of turn to the first page, and I look at the one-page backsplash, and there's just like in the bottom written by Kim Roberts, I already know I'm gonna enjoy it. Not because of just because it's her name, but just because I know that she writes really well. And there's always something cool to look at when she writes when we look at one of her stories.
Oh, no, I absolutely agree. I really hope that she's getting to the point, and if she's watching this video, because I did tag her, if you're watching it, whether it be live or later on, Kim, I really think you should take all your stories and make your own anthology and just make the Kim Roberts collection. I think I would love to be part of backing that and then also promoting it. So if you do that, I'll definitely help with that. I would love to see all the collections together.
I can agree. I think that'll probably be another book that I'll back.
Yeah, I mean, and this reminds me. You know what this reminded me of? The first time when she asked me and she approached me about not only promoting it, but she asked me what I thought of it and backing it. It reminded me of Tales from the Crypt and the old school telling of horror stories.
Yeah, even the small comics of Tales of the Crypt, if you were to look at the just the cover itself, it just screams oldie horror comics. I look at it and that's the first thing I thought of. I was like, cool. It's kind of doing like not a jab, but just like shoot, forgot the word.
I think it's paying homage to it. I think
there we go, homage.
They're giving
homage to it.
Yeah, I mean, just because I was a huge fan, man. I was a huge fan growing up of Tales from the Crypt, because there was more story than there was special effects, and I think that's what they did wrong when they redid the series. They went too much with special effects on the second series, but the original one on HBO, and I was probably too young to be watching half the things I was watching, but they were fantastic.
You will probably enjoy the actual small comics that are based on it.
I did get to read a bunch. Like I am a fan of the original. You're absolutely right. Like I was really a fan. It actually got me into like trying to find for a while the older original horror ones that you could get your hands on, but they're a little expensive for me at the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, definitely. Are you a fan of horror? Out of curiosity.
Yeah. The first few books I actually started reviewing, obviously they're all indie. There was this one called I don't know if you heard of it. It's called Man of God. This awesome looking comic. I don't know if you ever want to check it out. I actually got to speak to the letter, and that's how I actually got into reviewing that book. And it's just this one guy that his whole body is just burned up to a crisp, and he's just trying to locate what happened to him. And you learn a lot of crazy things what's happening. That one, shoot. Tommy, which we'll probably be talking about in a little bit.
Yeah, Tommy's awesome.
Yeah, Tommy, I actually know the creators. I met them because they own a comic book store, which is really close to where I live. So I've got to meet them in person. I actually have a physical copy of Tommy 1 signed by them already. So the fact that I see the Kickstarter coming up, it's not going to stop me from doing backing it up. It's the covers that they have is amazing. Just I think when it comes to indie comics, one of the best things to look at are the horror indie comics. Just because in indie, you know, nothing really stops you. The publisher won't stop you. You get to put all your thoughts and ideas into it. And man, people could be extremely creative. Extremely creative on how they write and how they draw it out.
Yeah, and to give credit to Dirk Manning, Dirk Manning does horror up in Northeast. Very big. If you don't know who Dirk Manning is, wrote the Mr. Retails, and he also wrote the Nightmare World, which is Volume 4 is coming out now, and he just successfully funded that on Kickstarter. Cool. So I mean, he did really good with being able, and he said it a lot. Exactly what you just said. He never had the ability to tell the stories he would have wanted to through a regular publisher. So he was always a big fan of indie comics for that.
I think that's the one good thing when it comes to indie. You don't have some form of company or somebody specifically watering down your idea. You could just spit it out the way that you want it. You could do it in however way you want it.
Yes, amen. And speaking of horrors, we have the Untold 1 and 2. Untold, I actually reached out to you yesterday and told you that this is one I thought you'd enjoy reviewing.
I actually got in contact with the creator. I'm probably going to do a review within this week or next on it.
Have you read it yet or flipped through it, the first issue?
Not as of yet. I downloaded it, and I'm just going to finish up 1 or 2 more reviews before I dive myself into that one.
And this one, I mean, I know the creator, and I can't talk about how we're connected, but we are connected in something coming up. But I've been working with him on that project that's coming to be one day. I can tell you that he's a great creative guy. He's a creative force. And I expect great things from this project, 1 and 2. And I can't wait to hear your review on it. But what's really fantastic to me is that Chris Madd has joined the team. Do you know who Chris Madd is?
Actually, no.
Oh, well, that's going to change in the next year or 2. I mean, this guy is getting out there, and his art is sick. He's actually I gave you a copy of Fetish Babies when I saw you at MegaCon. On the back cover, that's his art. He actually helped us with the promo piece that winds up on our back cover that takes a shot at 50 Shades, and he did a great job. And his art is freaking amazing. I remember when I heard he was joining it, I was like, wow. That's going to be an amazing comic book because of the way that he can draw and the way that he just gets it. Like working with him on the actual Kickstarter and what he wanted, like he would come back and forth and ask me questions that I wasn't accustomed to an artist asking me, but I appreciated him if that made sense because he really wanted me to be happy with what he was doing, and you could tell it mattered. How much what he was putting into it mattered. Like he took it very serious. One of the most professional artists I've worked with. And at this point, I've worked with over a dozen artists. And that's not a knock to any artist. I've worked with many professional artists like Satane, who actually did the art on my project for Fetish Babies. But he was the first one that I can say that like really seemed to not only care, but like took it like a business. Like this was like, okay, like what else can I do to improve it? Are you sure you're okay? And I was really impressed with that. And with that kind of dedication, I expect this Kickstarter to deliver a fantastic story. And I know he's taking over in issue 2, and some people get a little wary about if they're a fan of issue 1, what that'll mean for issue 2 when you change artists. But sometimes changing an artist is also, if you can use it to your advantage, the different art style, it's good. But I also think that Chris did a good job of being able to match what would be there. So I don't think that there's going to be a big difference between issue 1 and 2. But you'll have to tell me because you have both issues to review now, right?
Yeah, I have quite the queue.
Yeah, I mean, like, wow. I mean, to be able to do that and, like, you see it. And, I mean, this is one of the ones I was excited about. And I've known about this coming now for, I want to say, at least 3 months. So I was excited as all hell to hear about this and what was coming for this. So, I mean, just it is one of those things. And just to give the tagline for this is here we go up to the tagline. It's Untold is a horror series that combines psychological, unrest with striking visual gore to create a truly terrifying experience. And I think that's a credit to the writer, because the writer understands that he needs to do both sides of it. I do think that some writers, and you read a lot of horror stuff, and you tell me if you agree, outside of like Kim Roberts and some other great creators of horror, you see a lot of horror comic books that either rely on one or the other, right?
Yeah.
You know, like,
I've seen, one of the things I backed up is this awesome, beautiful art of a horror comic. It's called Dreamtown Amusement Park. And it looks silly at first. It looks completely silly where the art, it's, you know, it's childish and things like that. But when it turns from day to night, all those characters, they become like the hell version of them, basically. They were back. I actually backed them up on Kickstarter, so that they should pop up somewhere. Dreamtown Amusement Park.
let's see, we'll call it up. Dreamtown Amuse. Did it come up yet? No, not yet.
Let me see if I could pull it up on my end. You're gonna be surprised on how amazing the quality is on the art. When it comes to, like I said, going back to indie comics and just the horror section itself is just, when it comes to art, when it comes to a book that's indie and it's going specifically for the horror style, nothing should hold it back at that point. They usually go for their full out. They do their best, and sometimes it just looks to the point that it's just amazing. Like, you can't even believe that it's just like, wow, this looks like if it's coming off of a Marvel or DC or Dark Horse or things like that. I just found it right now. I just put Dreamtown Park on. Just put Dreamtown Park and it should pop up. Oh, there it is, right in the middle.
Oh, there you go. Finally got it. Here it is. Okay, so this got funded. Here's what he's talking about. So, yeah, I see what you mean by it looks goofy right there.
It looks goofy, but just look at the covers. If you keep scrolling down, you're going to see those covers, and you're just going to be like, what the hell?
Yeah, there you go. You already see some of it happening. And there's the team behind it. Entrance, we're going to keep going. Yeah, you start seeing like the demonicness of that character. And here we go. There's definitely the showing of the horror coming out. No, I could appreciate that. Like, this does look like something, honestly, I'd be interested in. I would have been excited to help promote this.
Yeah, I think it was I think it was successfully backed. I want to say about a year ago today. Let me.
Did you ever review it or?
Actually, I didn't have the opportunity to review it at the moment because when I had backed it, I had about 10 books to review, so I had it in my back burner. But the reason why I'm bringing it up now is because it's gonna be in my queue right now to shoot out a review. It was a 4-issue miniseries, and it's just great. Absolutely loved it. If you like that horror with a lot of gore in it, you probably enjoy it. Just by looking at the covers itself, you could see it.
Yeah.
With I think issue 1 had a cover of the fox, but the fox is the mouth. The teeth are just as sharp. It's just like I don't know what it is. It's like rotting from the inside, just coming out.
There it is.
The art is just that one right there in the bottom.
Oh man, it does look fantastic. I hope they do something else with it, like maybe an anthology. Because I don't know if I see any place that you can actually buy it. Because this is something I'll actually have to look into trying to find now that you've turned it on to me. And this is very important. Like, us talking about this, and look at George has been so impressed by these people, and that's going to stay with him. And he mentions it now, and that's someone it's now my homework to go reach out to them and find out where they're selling it, so I can get in touch with them. So that's important, guys. I mean, you know, what you do matters, and it stays with people, and then they continue to pass it on to other people. And that's, you know, George gets a lot of stuff too. And I mean, you get hit with a lot of reviews. I know that.
Yeah, right now, opening up my Dropbox, I look at it and it's just like, man, I have like 10 more things I need to review before I could even consider taking more reviews in, just because so many people are lately have been asking for reviews just because they've noticed me on social media, or when you refer to me, or even the flyers. that were in MegaCon, I've actually got some people to contact me about. So it's been well for Comic Unknown at the moment. So fingers crossed that I've tried to get all these reviews out as soon as possible. We always try to spit out like at least 8 reviews within the month. Sometimes we do more, maybe 12, 13, but it all depends on what's going on, you know. See if I have the opportunity, if I have the time to spit out those reviews as soon as possible.
Well, no, and those flyers will be traveling with me until I get rid of them. So
Cool.
you're going to go to Raleigh. You're going to go to Fort Lauderdale. We will be back in Tampa Bay. There are a couple of stops that there might be a Virginia trip in my near future. So you guys will be expanding your growth.
Fingers crossed. Right now, I think we have like about 540 likes on Facebook. We're always trying to see if we could bring a bigger audience, but I think we're gonna try to hit Fort Lauderdale SuperCon. So
I'll be there at the table, so you're more than welcome to drop stuff off.
Yeah, I'll greatly appreciate it.
Even if you want to spend like an hour or two at the table or half of the day at the table and meet people, tell them about it. I don't care.
Sounds good to me. Thank you.
That was a promise I made to everyone, that if we had a table, people could guest star on the table and be part of it, because I do think it's important. I think new creators especially don't get, obviously, the promotion they deserve to get.
Correct.
And I think it's important to, like, I mean, especially what you're doing. You're giving people a reason to back comic books. And I think that's fantastic of you. But The Untold is one of those comics definitely should be. I mean, Chris Mad, I've known him for years from New York Comic Con. He is one of the better artists coming out of there. He just has not had that lightning project that's hit. And I really do think that this is one of those projects that can be a big deal. I think The Untold is one of those things that I could see becoming a movie. You know, when you read a comic book and you go, wow, this should be a movie?
Yes, I've had a few reviews where I've even mentioned that, like, shit, like it's like if you close your eyes and either you think it's a movie or it's an animated film or a cartoon series.
Yeah, like Stabbity Bunny I see as a cartoon series on like Adult Swim or something, right?
Yes, which I think I don't think it's my most recent one. I just finished posting up the review on that one. So hopefully I'll get in contact with the creator again to see if I could review the following issues.
Oh, I'm up to issue like number 5. I love it. I think I'm up to 6 is the next one I need. Whatever he's at, I'm at, because I'm a big fan of it. I loved having him at my table with us and hanging out with him. He was a great guy. Chris Mad, same category. He's actually coming to Florida. I think he said next year he should be here. So I would love to introduce you two together. He might be at the MegaCon next year.
Cool.
Yeah, and I really do think his stock's going to keep rising because he just keeps getting better and better. And that sucks because I want to work with him, and as he gets better, he's going to get more expensive.
Catch him now.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things, like I'm watching these artists rise, and I'm like, I want to work with them, but I have literally 6 projects going right now. And I just, too many projects at once, you're afraid you'll drop the ball somewhere. So I think 6 is where I'm going to stay for now. And as the projects fall off, I might actually I have, like, I know you're a writer, you'll understand this. I have 10 stories that are ready to go any day of the week. I could literally start production on 10 stories. And if you're like me, you're always writing new stories.
Yeah, it depends on what you get inspired by. Like one of my stories, I think I spoke to you about it. The inspiration actually came from a song. It came from "Hurt" by Johnny Cash, and I was just like, man, if I could just do this, this, and this, and I was like, you know what? Let me just write it down. And then from there on, I just started doing the script, and I was like, man, I'm almost done with it. I just need to put the finishing touches on it, though. But you could find inspiration almost anywhere. And
I told you I want to see you make that one, because I remember you. You know what I like? I like when I talk to creators like you and I see the passion coming off and how excited you are, because that tells me the project's going to be great, because you're not going to do anything to that project but make it fantastic. So I really hoped that you make that come to be soon, because I'd love to talk about it on Written Sins.
Yeah, let's see. I still need to find an artist, things like that. But once I have that script out, I'll even show it to you to see what you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to it. And once you have that script, we can start looking for an artist, or even you can start now. I mean, anyone watching this video is an artist who's looking for that project. I mean, this guy he's dedicated. He's had his own site forever, and you want to get behind someone who's already got a following as an artist, because he's giving you a built-in audience. So, you know, to plug George here, I mean, if you're an artist looking for it, it's time to get with a creator, because the one thing I'll tell all artists, and I understand everyone wants to make a living on making comic books and everyone wants to charge, but if you have not created a comic book yet, as a creator myself, it's harder to trust that you can perform. You need to have a comic book under your belt. And that means that, especially if you're a first-time artist, you need to sometimes not be charging what someone who's created 4 comic books is charging. And you have to work with new creators. And George is one of those creators who is going to help build you an audience. And that's what's very important. But I remember we talked before about Tommy. Here's Tommy. I've talked about Tommy and how excited I am about it. Let's hear you talk about it, because I don't want to give a lot away, and this is one of those projects that excites me. What did you think? It's like, how would you tell people about Tommy without spoiling it?
A demented bunny rabbit that's an imaginary friend but can cause chaos. I think.
But it's the imaginary friend, because that's the big thing in it. Is he really imaginary?
I think. Oh, I don't really want to say too much about it. Shoots.
But the way they do it is so freaking awesome. The way that
it definitely makes you think. It makes you think: is he real? Is he not? Is it because of this? Is it because of that? Man, I don't know. I haven't really checked out what covers they're providing. The one that I have is this awesome variant that it has Captain Crunch.
Oh yeah.
It's just hilarious. Oh, shoot. If I actually have a stack of comics next to me, I'm trying to find it real quick.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. They have so many cool variants. They're such creative guys. They're funny. They were one of the first, I think they were actually our first live review. We actually used a damn hand recorder that I threw against the wall when I got home because it was horrible once I got the file off of it. But they were really fun to interview. They got me into really liking doing a live interview as opposed to the email interviews, and I thought that was great. I think this is a great property just in itself, and I think that they're taking chances. And I found it interesting that this is also a project to help them get to San Diego Comic-Con, which I think is important. I think getting creators like that we believe in, because I mean, being in comic and Artist Alley, and I'm sure you have seen this, it's becoming too commercial and not enough about creators right now. I feel. You know what I mean? Like as someone walking around, did you see that at MegaCon?
When I walked around in Artist Alley, I noticed maybe out of every 3 booths, it wasn't related.
Yeah, it wasn't comic creators. I want to see comic creators when I go to Artist Alley. I want to see artists who are making original stuff, not flash art for Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think I would agree. For that, you have the other booths outside of Artist Alley.
Yeah, I mean, there was someone with jewelry behind us who is.
Yes.
What the hell are they doing in Artist Alley? Not to say that there's not something artistic about jewelry creation, but end of day, it's a product. You've made a product that you're fashioning towards other things. It's not the same type of artistry that you expect Artist Alley at a Comic-Con. I just feel like certain things are out of place and people are getting tables and taking away. And the problem is, and I think you'll agree with me on this, is the more that these people are willing to spend on these tables, the more expensive they get, the less a new creator can afford that table.
I think so. That's when they start raising up the prices and whatnot.
Yeah, because we could sell it to this jewelry person who will pay $500 for it, and we could sell it to this guy who's making unlicensed products, and he's going to pay us $500. And these people are all cashing in as much as they can, which is a whole different story in itself, whether or not fan art's where it used to be. But they're literally giving like these things that you can only get at Comic-Con supposedly, but they're also taking away from the original creators. And I'm not talking about the artists who sit there and draw it. That's not what this is about. I'm not talking about the guys creating the fan art. I'm talking about the guys who are companies that are selling 20 or 30 different artists' fan art at one promotion. You know what I mean? I don't think that belongs in Artist Alley. I think artists making art is fine. I think artists making their own fan art is fine. But I think, like you said, like you saw it, there are people selling products that they never made themselves. And I don't think that belongs in Artist Alley.
Maybe in a different section, but I think Artist Alley, the purpose of Artist Alley is to show all these indie creators, all these artists, all these writers to show their work and try to promote themselves and, you know, and sell their things.
Oh no, absolutely. I completely agree. And Tommy's one of those guys that, you know, San Diego Comic-Con boots are getting so expensive because businesses are buying artist alleys now, and that's not necessarily fair. You want guys like Tommy at there because it's so original. It speaks so much to indie comics and how creative we are. And if we have guys like that who aren't necessarily affording and it's getting too expensive to be at shows, the Comic-Cons themselves are going to suffer. And I when I did the survey for MegaCon, they asked me one thing. I said, look, I don't care if you sell jewelry at the cons. You know, that's fine. I'm not telling anyone what to sell and what to buy at a Comic-Con. I just think Artist Alley needs to be a little bit more pure. I do think it has to be for artists, not selling artist stuff. Like if you have a table and you're an artist, I think you should be at the show. Because now at this point, you have artists who pay for Comic-Con tables that don't show up to their event. And I don't think that's fair because wouldn't you want to meet the artist? Like, I mean, I'm there as the creator backing all the projects that I'm part of. And I'm also backing my artists who aren't there with me. But I'm there to speak with them and talk about working with them. And you hear how I talk about my artists and the people I've worked with. I hold them in high esteem. And when you just have people hired to be at an event and you're not there, I think that you should be in the exhibitor alley. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, I think there's a place. It's called Exhibitor Alley or where all the stuff is being sold. And I think it has its place. Don't get me wrong. I think it should be there. But I don't think you should be in Artist Alley. I think Artist Alley is a place that should be for people to be discovered. Does that make sense?
No, I completely agree. It kind of, I don't know if it's killing the mood, killing the vibe, but I think, one creator there, and when I got to the table and I started looking at the work, I'm like, cool. And then I asked the person that's there, I'm like, oh, about the material. He goes, oh no, I didn't create this. This was XYZ person. I was like, okay. At first I'm thinking, oh, maybe the person's not there, and then I start noticing it's different artworks of different people, and I was like, damn, you're in Artist Alley. I would have expected at least to see the creator there.
Someone,
but
right?
It's just them selling the things.
You want someone there to talk about the passion of the project because you're investing in it. Like, don't give me the sales pitch I could read on a flyer. I want to know what the creator's thinking. And I think that takes away from genuine creators because at MegaCon, that was the one thing that kind of let me down. Don't get me wrong. There were great creators there. I know you saw the Shepherd creator, Andrea. I know you met him. I saw it on Facebook. So he was there. You had Martin Dunn there. You had Casey Pierce there. You have all these wonderful creators that are getting drowned in a sea of commercialized noise, and that's not fair.
There was a lot of great people there. It's just they're basically hidden in crevices throughout Artist Alley that's hard to spot. Like for example, spotting you and spotting Andrea, man, I got there early and that took me forever to find you guys.
Yeah, and I remember you telling me, and I later figured out that I should have just talked about the giant pillar in front of us like an idiot. I didn't mention that. But I mean, it really was this thing where it's very noisy in those places, and you have a lot of people who are now building displays on their tables and making it harder to see left and right of people. And you have people with these giant things. And look, man, I have no problem with anyone hustling to sell art. All I'm asking is that if you're an Artist Alley, you be the artist that's there, or you be a creator behind the project. You be someone involved. I don't care if you run the damn publishing house, but you need to be invested in the game. You shouldn't be just an employee. You know what I mean? Like, if you're an employee, you deserve to be where the vendors are. You don't deserve to be an Artist Alley. I mean, because you're literally taking away from people like Tommy. You're taking away from people like me, Casey, and one day George is going to be at a table. And when he's at a table, I'm sure he's going to want to be next to someone who's excited about comic books, right? Not someone just selling a piece of art that they're borrowing from Marvel. And I use borrowing to be nice, but literally at any point, like fan art, I mean, if at MegaCon, and this has nothing to do with MegaCon, the entity behind throwing the event, but if Marvel showed up with a bunch of lawyers, MegaCon would cease to allow any of that stuff, and they would be like, okay, you guys can't sell that. What would these people be selling? And that's the problem, I think, with Artist Alley, is that artists aren't, and this is, you know, artists themselves cannot afford to show creator-owned stuff because that's not what the market is. because Comic-Cons are kind of at the point where it's all about selling products, not investing in the future of comic books. And I would like to see that change in the next year, where creators are more showcased. And to credit of MegaCon, I do know that MegaCon does a great job of promoting creators, and I know there are a lot of other sites out there and a lot of other Comic-Cons this season that are really trying to help creators out. But I think, like we're saying, if you remove all the commercial stuff and make it about artists and make it about, you know, real creativity versus vendors, I think that would help. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely. Just like I go back, it kind of sounds like a broken record. Just finding creators throughout the whole artist alley. I spent for my whole day being there on Saturday. It was the second half of the day where I started going through each aisle of artist alley, man. And I think in each aisle there was more vendors than there were creators. Fortunately, I got to meet a lot of awesome people. I finally got to see you, Andrea. I got to meet the creator Stabby Rabbit, Richard. Also Andrew. Andrew, what was his last name? I have the book here. Charapar. I hope I'm not butchering his name. He's from Misfit Corner Comics that created Hero. Same thing with your neighbor, which was Ted Sikora, the one with the Palma.
Yep. He was awesome. And then Jesse Hansen was at our table from Cornerstone Studios. That's what I want to see, because the one thing I'll give credit to, and I really want to give credit to New York Comic Con, when you walk through New York Comic Con Artist Alley, it is nothing but artists. You do not feel like there's been a mix between exhibitor and artists. Have you ever been to New York Comic Con?
No, I have not. I've only done the cons here in Florida. Hopefully in the future I'll start traveling around, but at the moment, most I'll be able to do is probably like Orlando, MegaCon, Fort Lauderdale, and I'll try to see if I could swing by Tampa.
Anyone listening to my voice, if you can go to New York Comic Con just for one day and you can make it affordable, if not all 4 days, it is the destination for indie comics. The one thing I don't like about San Diego Comic Con is it's about movies. Let's be honest. San Diego Comic Con, not hating on them, just calling it for what it is, has become the trailer to comic book movies. While New York Comic Con is about comic books. That's just, you want to know the difference? That's it. And I haven't been to San Diego Comic Con, and I want to go, and it is on my bucket list, but I just haven't been there. And speaking of creators, one of the things I definitely wanted to touch on before the boss Jax wakes up was Angelica Reigns. I mean, this is the project I think to back. This is from Markel Dupree. You were talking about him and his line. I mean, this is a fantastic comic book that, once again, I don't understand why people aren't backing it more. This is the creator behind Delia Blast. You have the creator, Brian Hawkins. I'm almost 1,000% sure is the writer behind this issue. I'm just going to call up his name to make sure we're getting him right. Yeah, it is Brian Hawkins. Brian Hawkins, did you see that Kickstarter a few months ago that we were running, George, about the American Kingdom?
Yes.
He's the creator behind that. And I was very
I saw American Kingdom, the one that what happens if instead of it being the United States, what happened if it would have been a kingdom instead?
Yeah. That was mind blowing. That came out right when Trump won, and it was so eerie. You know, forgetting the politics behind it, just how everyone was so politically motivated at that moment to talk about politics. The timing of it was just eerie, and he really did a good job of promoting it. And he's behind this, so I expect great things. And the rewards they have, we really haven't talked about rewards yet, but I want to give them credit. You can actually be drawn into a comic book here. You can have a blank slate done. You could have a mirror where you can actually become a major character for $500. Now, I mean, I've already been in other comic books now, and you will see my likeness in other comic books. And I've done things where I've bought street signs and stuff like that. If I do any more of that, my wife might divorce me. But isn't that a cool thing to actually be part of drawn into a comic book?
Yeah, man. As long as somebody's able to do it, I don't see why not. It's an awesome feature that I've seen a lot of creators do. And it's just an awesome little Easter egg if you do it, and then like you show your friends, you show the book, like, hey, look, this is supposed to be me. Then they'll probably won't believe you at first until they start looking at the likeliness, and then they're like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, and this project, I mean, as we're looking at it, this spawns off of, now I don't know It's part of the SFC world, which was like WWE with superpowers. But I don't know if this is. I think this happens before she joins SFC, and this leads up to the road of her being an FFC. She's got a group behind her, but she's part of that, and she's a badass.
That's
And
what it looks like. Hopefully, I think what they're going for at this point is probably all characters from the SFC to do their own spin-offs.
which would be fantastic. I actually think that's a great idea because, I mean, stories like it'll not only help FFC, but it helps build a brand. And I do think it's interesting. I don't know if it's a one shot because I don't ask those questions unless I really need to know. It doesn't mention it's a one shot, so I'm considering, but I'm going to have them on the show anyway, both Brian and Markel, and I'm going to be able to ask them that question directly. This says it's the first solo series of FFC Conline, which, like you said, this is a plan, and it's a bigger plan. Then they're building a universe, which is kind of cool in itself. I mean, these characters are now going to become bigger outside of the ring, and I do think that's interesting. I just don't know what time period this is going to happen. Is this her outside of the ring while people know she's in the ring? I don't know, but that makes it more interesting, doesn't it? Because I read SFC, and have you read FFC?
I have not as of yet. I did do my research on it. I've read a lot of other Evolution comics. I will definitely get in contact with I don't know if his name's pronounced Markel, but I definitely want to check it out to see if we could spit out a review. I have seen a lot of the work going on because I do have Markel on Facebook, and I see him posting it all the time, and that's what intrigued me into backing Angelica Reigns. But from what it looks like, I'm really hoping, just from my understanding of what he's doing, is basically he's doing, I guess, the backstory, it's like the prequel to SFC.
Yeah, it's what it looks like, and I'll be able to confirm that when he's on Spoken Sins, which I think we're doing sometime this week. We're actually just trying to make scheduling. A 2-year-old is definitely a challenge to try to do these videos with. He's actually napping now, so we're going to have to probably start wrapping it up because I know he's starting to stir. But before we go, not only do I think that this is a great project to back, but I wanted to talk about, because we didn't get to talk about it, the Threat comic. Have you heard about this yet?
That one I have not.
Okay, so what is the Threat? The Threat is in a not-too-distant future. Humanity is dying at an apocalyptic rate. The only solution through this is recombinant DNA, which causes mutation in a small percentage of the population. Those become known as the virals. So this is like, I mean, Blade Runner meets Cyberpunk meets Heroes. It's just, you know, it is a fantastic idea. It is we had him on the program when we were doing the Kickstarter talk. And this is something I would actually suggest for you to reach out when you get time to actually read. And I might be actually trying to read this to do a review. And as many people know, I've been trying to delegate some of my reviews out because it takes a lot. And George can back me on this. Doing a review for a comic book isn't so easy. You get a lot of people asking you to do a lot of comic books. You also have some comic books you can't ever publicly review, right? You'll just walk away from. You'll be like, I can't do that because it won't be good for you, and I just won't be that person. So it takes a lot of energy to do reviews, but this is one that excited me. I was like, wow, this looks really good. I was shocked I'd never heard of it yet. So I would definitely suggest looking into this. I'm going to play the video real quick because I think it was a cool video. And then we're just going to do some closing comments, and we're going to be off because I think we've been on for over an hour now.
Some time now.
Yeah. But here's the actual pitch. Now that's kind of a badass trailer. What'd you think? First impressions, George?
Was that a sewer cover that sliced the guy in half?
It looked like, right?
Nice. I love how the characters look. It's very not mutant-esque, but you can see them with their own form of powers, and how it says that some of them are for. Oh yeah, it is a mutation. I'm actually looking at the Kickstarter right now. Now that you brought me into this one.
Yeah, I mean, right? This one
That's really good.
Yeah, this is the hidden gem right now. For those of you watching the program or watching it later after we're done being live and we circulate it, this is the hidden gem on Kickstarter right now that I don't know how it hasn't been on my radar. And Mark Schmidt's actually a friend on Facebook. I'm surprised. Like, I actually looked back on my actual site and I'm like, we've never done anything for this before, because it really looked really good. And I never actually looked up Mark's name. I probably should have looked up that. But I was surprised that because I love cyberpunk. Do you know what cyberpunk is, George?
Cyberpunk specifically, I can only assume it's kind of like steampunk, with just with technology, different type of technology.
Cyberpunk was like, Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yeah.
It was a
game
yeah. Yeah, and I used to play it with my friends. And I remember, like, even back then I wanted to write comic books. And I remember being like, wow, we should make this into a comic book. And I remember I created a character that everyone loved. And, of course, he got killed stupidly while taking a dump. But that was the world of cyberpunk. Some things happen. But you can see the creative. And there are a lot of creators I know who talk about either playing cyberpunk or watching people play. It really did spawn a generation of creators to become active with creating. And I thought that was great, because I don't know if he particularly was affected by cyberpunk in the way that I was as a creator, but I know that he was. Because the cool thing about cyberpunk, who don't know, is that you created your own characters. You played your own character. If you never played D&D, it's basically you have your own character in a world and you determine what they do, and then you roll a dice to see whether or not you're successful on that or not. I know we did Mark Schmidt as a we've done a couple of things that you see on the site. I did his actual interview, because that's how we know him too, because we did it. I remember reading the threat back then, and I remember he was supposed to send me a PDF, and I just don't think we wound up connecting the right way. But he's also worked with Bob Sally. I mean, this is a creator to watch. And I remember, like, he never actually sent it to me a review, which is kind of sad, because now I'm looking at it and I have to reach out to him and be like, I'll do that review. You know what I mean? But here's something that we did cover at one point. This is for the actual new Kickstarter, but we covered his interview. So if you want to know more about him as a creator, that'll be the way. But definitely time to go, because I just realized we've been on for an hour and a half and my son is waking up. But George, take us out. Tell all the people about Comics Unknown.
You can check it out at Facebook, www.facebook.com/comicunknown. Our site is based on Blogspot, so it'll be comicunknown.blogspot.com. Our tagline is basically news, reviews, and everything and every general badassery. Basically, we try to review all indie comics out there. We try to also do interviews with those indie creators, and we always try to call out whenever we see an awesome Kickstarter coming up, things like that. And we try our best to communicate with all creators, try to see who they talk to, if they ever need actual other creators to work with their projects. I actually spoken to a few people when they were looking for somebody, and I shot them a few referrals. So please be sure to like us on Facebook. We also have a Twitter, which we're gonna start using more often. We haven't been using it that much lately. It's at the Comic Unknown. For some reason, Comic Unknown was taken. But other than that, that's basically it on my end.
That's awesome, and we're always a fan of the Untold, the other Kickstarters that we did today, which Dreamtown we just found out thanks to George. Tomb of Horror, Children of Sin, Comics Unknown covers all these types of things. I definitely suggest reaching out to them. Thank you for being part of the show today, George. It makes it more fun when I'm not talking to myself. You know, me and the voices have arguments when we're left alone.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks for being on. I'll talk to you soon, George, and I'll talk to everyone else soon as we go into our next installment of, I think the next program we have is Last Week in Sin coming up soon. All right, George, have a great weekend.
Take care.
All right, later.